Thank you. We have some time for questions. I think you have some index cards if you'd like to write down questions. I was going to ask the first question, which is as powerful as Walmart seems at this moment, it is not without precedent in American history that unions have faced other corporations that were both so seemingly powerful and so right-wing. One thinks of Henry Ford, who in fact had a whole development in the stage of capitalism named after him as Fordism, who was a virulent racist and anti-Semite, who actually mass-produced the protocols of the elders of Zion, and was about as anti-union as a corporate leader could be, and yet somehow the socialists of the United Auto Workers, the Reuther brothers, and those that worked with them were able to bring a union to the Ford company. So what I wonder might be different about the Ford company in the 1930s and Walmart 80 years later is that Ford wasn't truly an international corporation. It was an American corporation. And so that battle could be fought and won in the American context. My question to all the panelists is, given that Walmart is in fact an international company, is there a way in which the battle to unionize Walmart has to be a battle that's fought internationally, and that the importance of solidarity between American workers and Chinese workers has to be central to that struggle?
Yeah, I think actually the difference between Walmart today and Ford then, Ford was by the 20s was international. It had assembly plants in South Africa and Germany and Great Britain. Dagenheim was a huge, the movie made about the Ford plant in Dagenheim, about feminism there. So, but I think the big difference is this, and this is a big difference. And this was discussed by David Wield this morning at the Elrond conference, the concept of the fissured workplace. That is, today American corporations, all of them, including the old industrial ones, including Ford. If you go to, I've been to the Rouge, which is this fantastic, it's Diego Rivera, made the Rouge an icon of American modernism, and you can go see those murals at the Detroit Institute of Arts. But today, if you go into the Rouge, you find 5 different companies. The steel plant is the Russian one. The glass plant is owned by someone else. In other words, what Ford has done today is to copy, in a way, Walmart. That is, they have disaggregated their supply chain. They spun off their parts plant. They spun off parts of. So the National Labor Relations Act, and the new dealers who created it, and the Reuther brothers and others, who said, okay, because Ford is totally integrated. In those days, it was totally integrated. The Rouge plant was this giant symbol of that integration. If we stop one part of it, the rest will stop. So therefore, that's one of the reasons that I am now getting a little friendlier toward the era of industrial capitalism, 1860 to 1980, because, these integrated corporations, at least, I think it's the terrain upon which social democracy can have a kind of lever. Whereas today, and it's true of Walmart in terms, certainly its supply chain, and true of and many other from janitors to you can all sorts of other and then the Uber economy. Not to mention that the difference is we don't have that lever. Whereas if you organize who's the worker, who's the boss, that's the problem, and we don't quite know that. Now I think there is a power relationship which is it's real. The power relationship is real, but the legal and organizational is not. Now, let me make one just comment. One of the most important developments taking place today is taking place in Bangladesh. After the collapse of the Rana Plaza, the accord on fire and building safety which was pushed forward by the NGOs, by the ILO, by the unions in Europe, and acceded to by many of the European retailers like H&M, does provide actual legal responsibility by the H&Ms and some of the companies in Europe toward the workplaces from which they contract goods. And that is really important. It is significant. The reason I think it's important is because Walmart, of course, has refused to join this. Walmart has set up its own kind of, I think, sort of phony alliance for worker safety, in which it is unwilling to have that legal organizational responsibility. So it tells me that the Swedes, you mentioned the Swedish companies, H&M and the ILO, are doing something good. So I think the task of the day is to reintegrate these global corporations so that you can hold accountable the people in Bentonville or wherever they are for the conditions of labor that are taking place in China or any other place. And that, I think, is a big task.
刚才这位女士告诉我，美国的沃尔玛准备给工人1小时15块美金。能翻过来吗
？The American trade union want to fight for $15 per hour.
这肯定是一个让中国沃尔玛工人高兴的事情。
So Chinese workers in Walmart will be very happy with that figure.
当然我会考虑这个汇率的这个。
Of course, there's an exchange rate.
我会让沃尔玛工人提出1个小时。540块人民币的要求，6954嘛？
你开玩笑
不，就540嘛。
So he said, if calculating it directly into Chinese yuan, it will be over 500 Chinese yuan per hour.
我想如果有一天能够做到。
50没有那个100块多点
，100块人民币，100块。
It's 100 about 100 Chinese yuan.
那我们就提100块。
提100块。
So maybe we will ask for 100 per hour.
反正我只想这么说，就是我想。如果多要一点，工人还是会高兴的，
So the more, of course, the better for workers.
问题是手段。
The problem is how.
什么样的手段呢？我想。
What kind of a mechanism?
中国工人一定会走向真正的集体谈判。
Chinese workers will definitely go for collective bargaining.
而且中国的工人也会真正的走向组织起来的。
We will do real organizing.
OK.
Okay, is that my turn? Okay, I will say the difference is globalization, and the Chinese workers joined the world labor force. If in the 1930s, if you have several hundred million cheap labor. Well, at that time in the U.S., labor is cheap too. I remember Henry Ford introduced $3 per hour as $5 per hour. Wow, a day. I'm sorry, and workers run into the plant, and the other plant always say, "This guy is crazy. How can you make money?" But he made money, and what I'm trying to say is, you can't really simply compare 1930s and now, but if you want to compare, the main difference is Chinese workers in cheap without any rights and no organizing. So that's really pulled down the whole international labor standard. But that also proved how powerful the multi-hundred million workers in China can be. And if we have that power negatively to pull down, to lower the international labor standard, but if we are getting organized, we will have the other way around, the power to revise it. So that's, I would say that's the main.
Okay. So there's some questions which I think are a matter of cultural translation and history. So let me ask them and see if between Dongfeng and I we can get them straight. The first question was, what are yellow unions and how different are they from American unions? And I'm thinking that what you mean by yellow union is what in the United States we would call a company union, where the company basically controls the union. Am I correct?
In my understanding, yes. As a yellow union in the term in Chinese term is the same.
Okay. The second says, in China, are Walmart suppliers union? Are workers organized? So that these companies that Walmart is outsourcing to, is there even a yellow ACFT union there?
说那个第一个问题说你刚才翻译了，就是说什么中国的黄色工会是什么意思？是不是老板控制的工会叫黄色工会？那第二个问题就是说是这个沃尔玛的产品的生产商，就是那个供货商那个工厂里边有没有工会？有工会的话，是不是也是黄色工会？大概是。
这个怎么讲？
不，就是说你是不是有工会？是不是也是黄色工会，或者是什么？
沃尔玛的供应商是不是所有工会？
The suppliers.
我不能够完全肯定。
I'm not sure all the suppliers of Walmart they all have a union.
但是目前总的来讲，就是在中国的企业中的工会，它的这个力量很弱。
In general, in enterprise, in factory level, the trade union in China is weak.
基本上不能够形成工会发起的那种劳资谈判。
Basically, cannot establish collective bargaining. I have the same thought.
Okay. And then the third question, this is an interesting one. In the United States, one of the things that Walmart does is that when it moves into a community, it wipes out all of the small retailers. And so the question is that happening in China when Walmart sets up its retail shops? Is it wiping out small retailers?
My impression is yes, of course. If you have a community anywhere, if you move in such a giant thing with a lower price or you can say relatively maybe better quality in a sense, and they have, for example, you can return within certain days, and in the small store, the local stores, you cannot. This kind of advantages, of course, you just wipe off these local small stores. But in the same time, it's my understanding. But correct me if I'm wrong. It's my observation. I'm sorry, I haven't been back to China since 1992. So when I was there, Walmart was not there. But it's my impression as a Chinese, sometimes you prefer to, you quite like it, the feeling that you are shopping in this kind of big things, and if you have different things in the one store. So maybe Mr. Duan can talk about the store closure in Changde. That when they close this store, how they really operate this store. For example, the small business. If you want to have you want to sell your things in Walmart, what kind of deal you have to have? 我就是说你那个。是不是你要不要说一下像那个像常德这个案子带出来的那个沃尔玛的那个商业运行模式，就是说你一般的品牌你要想上架，你要有什么条件，你要交多少钱，然后最后沃尔玛关店的时候你会怎么样？
其实沃尔玛在中国的前10年，它是有优势的，有很大的优势，因为它的这种营销模式，特别是它的结算的这个标准是 在中国有很大的优势。
The Walmart's business model in China is has a huge advantage, especially the 结算啊。
它就是可以快速结算。
The small business. No, it's they have a quick and regular God, the financial conclusion with they closed the calculation with the small brand. If you want to sell your things in Walmart.
但后10年呢，它也遇到了中国零售业的这种竞争。
The past 10 years, there are Chinese entrepreneur owned this supermarket arising, and there's a bigger and bigger competition.
比如像世界上也有像家乐福啊、吉之岛、日本的、法国的。
Carrefour from France and the Japanese. There's a Japanese supermarket chain as well.
所以它单独的完全靠这种结算方面的优势，已经没有什么竞争力了。
This quick kind of financial transaction arrangement with the small brand who are selling in their things is no longer as their advantage.
所以沃尔玛在中国有一个很重大的一个变化，就是沃尔玛在96年进入中国的时候，他的员工的工资是当地的社会平均工资的3倍。
In 1996, when Walmart entered China, their salary is 3 times as high as a local average salary.
就是我说的那位王石树，69年进去的时候是1500块钱人民币。
So 1996, when he entered Mr. Wang Shishu, when he became the staff, 多少钱
？1500块。
It's 1,500 Chinese yuan per month.
当时深圳的社会平均工资的话，大概是500块。
At that time, Shenzhen, the average salary in Shenzhen is $500. The yuan, sorry.
现在王石树拿3000块。
Now Wang Shishu is making 3,000.
但是深圳的社会平均工资是6000块。
In Shenzhen, the average the average salary is 6,000.
他的工资大大的降低了。
So the real salary actually become very low.
在沃尔玛的老工人，也就是在前5年，69年到96年到01年进去的工人的工资。现在都是处于一个下滑的状态。
So the first 5 years who joined the workers who joined the Walmart, if they are still working there, their salary actually is reduced dramatically.
由于沃尔玛在中心城市竞争已经没有优势，所以现在沃尔玛有一个模式，就是开始进入中国的3线城市。
So the Walmart's competition advantage in the biggest gigantic city in China seems losing its competitive advantage. They've been moving to the smaller cities in China.
我能够说的就是这么多。
Just a note on this. If I think you said 400 Walmart stores, is that right? Yeah. This actually, I think Walmart is encountering problems in its retail in China. 400 is not very many. In the last 15 years, in the U.S., when Walmart was in its heyday and really expanding, it was opening 250 stores a year. So Walmart has encountered problems. Now, why it's encountered problems, they're either political, competitive, I don't entirely know. I will mention one thing. When I was given a tour of a Walmart store in 2007 in Beijing by a Walmart manager who was on the verge of quitting, which meant he was very frank with us, and he made the point that in fact the logistics system that Walmart had in China was not as good as it it wasn't that I emphasized in the U.S. It typically wasn't in terms of trucks and suppliers. And the proof of that was, as we're walking around the store, I noticed a number of people selling Walmart people with these, I don't know, yellow or purple or some other colored little jacket. I said, who are they? And they all looked very nice. They said, oh, they are not employees of Walmart. They, in effect, were from the wet market, from the kind of traditional market. They were brought into the store, sold their wares, given a new little uniform. They looked nice, but they were not employees of Walmart. And that was about 50%, which indicated to me that Walmart was not able to replicate the system in the U.S.
Yeah, that reminds me. This is exactly the things that Walmart in China is able to quickly close the store if they don't think it's make enough money. Is because as a small business, if you want to put your product in Walmart, you first pay Walmart's amount of money as the entrance fee. So if in a few years, if Walmart doesn't make enough money after calculation, they move out, they don't return the money back to you. So these businesses, they haven't made enough money to make that fee back yet, and they are losing. So Walmart is not losing money by closing store, but those small business, the brand.
One last question, and I guess this goes to the core of how you organize Walmart in China, which is it's not without precedent in the United States that a company union can be transformed into a genuine union, but it happens rarely. And particularly to Mr. Duan, the worker leaders that you're working with, that that you've done lawsuits for them, do they think that it's possible to transform the HCFTU into a legitimate, real union?
大概从12年开始，沃尔玛的工人呢就先后呢就有多次的这种自我的这种讨论。
So since 2012, the Walmart workers started lots of internal discussions among themselves.
从我的观察来看呢，
From my
他们
observation,
现在已经有很高的这种团结的意识。
they already have a very high conscious of solidarity.
我想运气要好的话，今年呢，可能沃尔玛的工人呢会有一个很好的表现。
If we're lucky enough this year, Walmart workers will perform something.
连我都知道沃尔玛很强大，
And although I know the Walmart is very strong and big,
但是我非常坚信，
but I
真的
believe
如果沃尔玛的员工能够团结起
if
来，他们就
workers
比沃尔玛还要
start
强大。
getting solidarity together, they will be stronger than Walmart. And 你说完了吗？
说完了。
So he's done. I just add something on top of what he said. Is yes, Walmart workers solidarity is very important, but in the U.S. Walmart workers and the union try to build solidarity is still on its way and still struggling and very hard. And I want to emphasize that if workers start building solidarity in Walmart, in China, and build ally with a communist regime, communist party, and that is the ultimate solution. Otherwise, and tell me another solution to tight up Walmart on this earth, and tell me another system. What regime? What ideological belief and what system can tight Walmart up? There's no other regime is able to do that according to my knowledge. So the only force is able to do that is the communist, and which is it will turn into socialist in China. Only a socialist regime can really make Walmart behave, and they can make money, and they respect workers. There will be union, and they still can remain themselves as one of the biggest company on earth, but they will behave differently. Only the social democrats regime.
Okay, so I'd like, on behalf of everyone here, I'd like to thank all of our panel for what I think was a very informative discussion, and what I hope will be the beginning of more solidarity between Chinese workers and American workers who are both fighting Walmart.
Yeah, I just want to mention one word. A few years ago, I think about 7-8 years ago, I talked to your former president, and we had a bet. And I said, in China, we will get Walmart first. So we're winning.